Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. Just be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class. If you've not been watching my videos, I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Hello, everybody. You may hear the clinking of glasses in the background.
Hello, guys.
This is my old friend who's preparing
Forfeit shots.
some penalty forfeits for any particularly bad things that happen as part of our budget bingo. Anyway, many of you have been waiting for this for a while. Some of you will have just seen it go live now and wonder what we're doing. That's the penalty shot. For the purposes of the YouTube algorithm police, we're going to say it's apple juice.
Yes, it's appley, although it's got a strange peaty smell to it.
And it also makes you want to cough your eyes out.
Kills bacteria at an alarming rate.
But we're going to start, so we need to go on this one. Cheers.
Cheers.
Now, the idea of today is simply to bring some light-hearted levity and banter to what we're expecting is going to be a brutal and bloody budget that's going to bruise and batter Britain into submission.
Yeah.
And those of you new here, I've got lots of new followers on X, and they're currently being watched live on YouTube, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. No, anyway, everywhere. And if you are wanting to interact in the live chat, then YouTube is the best place to do it. Although, if you're on X, you can also do it on X. So YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and Facebook, you can interact in the live chat. On Instagram, unfortunately, and on TikTok, unfortunately, you can't. So yeah, you could get mad.
Just so you know, I've created a bingo card, and you can create your own unique bingo card. And anyone who gets a bingo, so that's 6, either horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, please let us know. You'll see some wild cards, some of you, because they're randomly generated from a large pool of options. But good luck to everyone on the bingo side.
So yes, thank you very much for Alex who spent time putting together this bingo card. This is what it looks like. By the way, on the right hand side of the screen, you can see Kemi Bignock is currently speaking in live in the House of Commons. We will be sharing that live when Rachel Reed turns up. But we've got budget bingo cards. Let's just get that on screen now. It looks really fun. And hang on a second, it's nice big.
So the sound is clip.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me see if this improves it. Right, I've changed microphones. Is that better? The internet speed is very good here. It's not the internet speed. I've just switched microphones. Is that better? Yeah. There's a 30-second delay or something in the comments.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you everyone for telling me. But is that better? Better.
Good.
Okay. Can you also hear Alex as well? Because this microphone isn't as close to him as it is to me.
Hello, guys. I hope this is okay. Normal sort of speech volume.
Okay, fantastic. Perfect. All right. Good that sorted that problem out. The first person has seen the announcer's resignation box on the bingo card.
That's one of the random wildcards. Only some of you will have that. You basically have the 36 options, but there are another 12 options. So that was just, I thought I'd throw that in just in case.
So, right, everyone on the live chat, I've just put in the live chat a link to this so that you can all create your own version and play along. So we've got, I'm going to whip through them.
Yeah.
Golden visas for rich/skilled people, increase NHS spending, working people. We've got that in there a few times because you think of how many.
She's going to say it a lot of times.
Okay,
you can fill a row.
Reduce cash ISA allowance to 12k, increase alcohol and tobacco duties, broadest shoulders. Do you know what? We haven't got on here.
What?
Fair.
No, well, I couldn't, because she'll say the word fair at least 27 times.
Increase defence spending, unfreezes tax thresholds. She's not going to unfreeze tax thresholds.
No, that's one of your wild cards.
Yes, okay. Oh no, small modular reactors delayed. You're expecting that?
Yeah.
Scrap 2-child benefit cap. We are expecting that. 1.5 million new home investment. She better not mention that.
Oh, I'll bet she does. I bet she'll say how they're going to help out.
That would be outrageous if she refers to that. What else we got?
Exit tax.
Broader shoulders a few times. Yeah, go on. You keep reading them out.
So you've got your greater than 2 million mansion wealth tax, the retention of the triple lock, tourist taxes on overnight hotel stays, the fact that it's all inherited from the Tories, the wild card of reduce income tax, very, very unlikely. The fact there's going to be a duty on electric vehicles per mile, a potential increase in fuel duty, which I don't think that is likely, but extending the freeze on tax thresholds, which is much more likely than anything else. And of course, the ending of capital gains tax exemption on main homes. An increase in the dividend tax rate and the cap tax rate to bring everything in line, so you may as well be PAYE and not own assets, or at least sell assets. A whole range of things, making tax digital and how that leads into digital IDs
and digital currencies.
Well, that's later, but yes, all of these potentially, along with the reformation of council tax. An increase in or potential a new super rate income tax, which obviously would break their manifesto. But hey, all of these good things, and of course you've got the the minimum wage and national living wage increases above inflation.
Already announced, already confirmed.
Yeah.
Can you do the budget bingo on your screen?
What do you mean?
And share it so that because I can't share the bingo card and the live Parliament TV at the same time.
I can do my card on screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or do we not need it on screen? Let's get back
I think
to.
we just let people do their own one.
Should we have a quick listen to what Kemi's saying?
Yeah, why not?
To shore up his crumbling leadership. But if he were to welcome her back, will he set a condition that she must pay back the £40,000 of property taxes she avoided, the same property taxes they're very happy to put on everyone else, and will she also return her £17,000 of severance pay?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the former Deputy Prime Minister is the biggest social mobility story this country has ever told. She started from humble beginnings and fought her way to the very top. I'm very proud of what she's achieved in politics. I'm very proud of everything she's done for this Labour government.
That sounds like a no, Mr. Speaker. I've never heard the Prime Minister speak so highly of people avoiding their taxes. But in summary, this just looks like a government that is a slow-motion car crash. His cabinet are briefing against each other, his MPs are planning for life after him, and the most chaotic run-up to a budget in recent memory is happening on his watch. Even the Chief Whip is telling MPs that he wants out. The truth is simple, Mr. Speaker. His MPs don't trust him, the markets don't trust him, and the public certainly don't trust him. When will he finally accept that the chaos starts and ends with him?
The most chaotic budget was the Liz Truss budget. It did huge damage to our country. We're still suffering from that damage.
The most chaotic
What
budget
did you
was the
say
Liz
about
Truss
Liz Truss?
budget. So far, Keir. Let's go to next Vegas.
when asked was Liz Truss right, 100% right, she said. The most chaotic, damaging budget there's ever been. And she sticks by it. I'm very interested to see her response to this budget if she thinks Liz Truss got it right. Mr. Speaker, what we're doing is focusing on cutting waiting lists, cutting the national debt, cutting the cost of living, renewing our country, a Labour budget with Labour values, delivering for the British people.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the moment, everyone is being bombarded with adverts and emails for Black Friday, encouraging them to spend money on so-called time-limited deals, leading to panic buying, increasing debt, buyer regret, and not to mention the impact on the planet, with delivery and returns of goods responsible for millions of tonnes of CO2 emissions. Does he agree with me that instead of rushing to buy online, people should look to their high streets to support local businesses and keep money in the local economy this Christmas?
Well, I want to see our high streets thriving, and we encourage everyone to support local businesses this Christmas. Through our small business strategy, we've got £3 billion boost to help small businesses expand, and we've tackled the most significant reforms to tackle late payments, the most significant in 25 years, Mr. Speaker. And the Chancellor will have to say more about that in just a moment.
Sir Ed David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've just seen in the leaked OBR documents that taxes are going up to a historic record high. So will the Prime Minister explain why Labour is hiking people's taxes instead of fixing the £90 billion Brexit black hole in the public finances by growing our economy with a new, detailed, brilliant trade deal with our European partners?
Well, he'll only have to wait a few minutes for the full details of the budget. But, Mr. Speaker, every week he comes here.
Is that better? Is that more balanced?
He always wants more spending, and he never wants to say how he's going to raise the money for it. The two things can't go together.
Sir Ed Davey.
Speaker, we want to grow the economy, not tax the economy. But if I can take him on to another issue, Mr. Speaker, I hope everyone in the House shares my alarm that a former leader of a political party in Wales has been found guilty of betraying our country and has now been sentenced to over 10 years in prison for his treachery. The Prime Minister said that reform should hold an independent investigation, and he is right. But we both know that that's not going to.
That goes without saying.
Yeah. Okay, is it still too loud? Turn them down. I can't.
That's it. They're dead.
They're microphone, but I'm trying to work out the audio level. See if I can't. Yeah, can you hear me all now? Fine. Is that good? And can you hear Alex?
Hello.
So I also know that we are right now being streamed in a newsroom of a newspaper.
Oh, are we? Mm-hmm. Oh well, hello. Whichever newspaper that may be.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Although that said, if the OBR really have leaked rather than forecast, if it's at the actual budget that they've leaked and Sky already have it, there's not a lot we can say other than commentary on the fact that there's going to be yet more stupidity.
No, we've switched off Parliament for now. We've muted Parliament just for a minute while Alex and I have a quick preamble about the budget.
Actually, I'm just having a drink, mate.
Yeah, well, I wish if only we could be in a pub doing this, it'd be even better, wouldn't it? Yeah. And then people would start joining. It would be really good fun. That would be great fun if we could be in a pub with you guys. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just paying attention to all the audio comments. Okay. So generally speaking, I would like to offer my preamble to this budget, and then invite you to offer yours. And I want to try and keep political opinions out of this and party political stuff out of this. The one thing that the Labour Party have said that they are trying to achieve since before the election and since the election is growth. Mm-hmm. And they mean economic growth. Yep. And the reason they're saying that is because that's the only known way of sustainably improving a country's prosperity and finances. And the reason, and I'm going to really oversimplify this, is because basically when private companies do well, their share value increases without taking anyone's money away. So there is an actual creation. No. If a share price jumps overnight, it didn't take that money from someone else overnight. No, it really doesn't.
Sort of.
Wait, sorry, this is a really. Do we disagree on this?
Yes, a little. Yeah, we do because.
No, sorry, just ask me this yes or no question. When a company's share price is 10 today, and then tomorrow, on the back of news about a weather event in a far-flung country that's going to improve prospects of this company, the next day its share price has jumped to 15.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the counterside that you think someone's lost that?
Well, okay, so here's the important point. It doesn't just jump to 15. It goes to 15 because people are buying the shares because they believe it's going to.
People are also selling the shares because you can't buy one without selling one.
Well, depending on how many shares are available to the public and the size of the company and all the rest of these.
No, you cannot buy a share that someone doesn't sell.
Yes, but it doesn't have to be from the market. It could be from the organisation itself. They can actually dilute their shares and produce many more shares. There's lots of different ways, but that's by the by.
I was trying to keep this simple.
Yeah, but the fact is that the only way a share price increases is if more people are interested in buying it.
Yes.
So they are handing over their money. Now, that is perfect if that is based on the fact that a product is actually valuable and worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
But what tends to happen, that would suggest logic and a basis of value within a market. Unfortunately, as I discovered many years ago, that is not the way the markets work.
No, I understand that the markets have a million other factors that affect it, including leverage and debt and government and tax and all those things, right?
But also, they will, and this is why we have the dot-com bubble and why we have what many are describing as an AI bubble now. The share price, the underlying value, is not based on anything that is tangible or real. And so what you're doing is effectively you are taking everyone's money away, because when Cisco's share price collapsed from $88 to $12 in 2001, well, guess what? Lots and lots of people lost lots and lots of money. Now, the people who were smart, i.e. had insider knowledge and got out just beforehand, did incredibly well because their share price has gone from 2
so
to
that
88.
wealth can evaporate in the same way that
yes.
Yeah.
It can. But the shares
You can't have it both ways.
No, I absolutely agree, but to suggest that there are no losers,
I was trying to keep it simple. For fuck's sake! I was doing a quick summary of the basic principle, but no, you fucking pulled me straight down into the gutter of detail immediately.
Of course.
But generally speaking, like people's pensions are growing mostly on the back of those pension funds investing in companies.
Yeah.
Companies like Coca-Cola or Apple or Google or Facebook, right?
Or government debt. But that's by
stop complicating it. I'm trying to make this easy for first timers to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to help our audience or confuse them. And the point being that where we do agree is that without economic growth, a government has just got to borrow and borrow and borrow.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right. So economic growth is, oh God. Sorry, that's not supposed to happen. Not supposed to get phone calls interrupting the live stream. Sorry, guys, it's absolute chaos and pandemonium as usual. What I was trying to do is talk about this budget, preamble of the budget, right? From the budget a year ago, when it was announced that the major measure was increasing national insurance, employers' national insurance contributions.
Yeah.
Because business can shoulder the burden
along with minimum wage.
Because in the eyes of Rachel Reeves' line of thinking, business can just afford it.
Well, they're making such vast profits these days that they're just profiteering, and this is why CEOs are paid so much, and therefore they can easily redistribute it to their workers. Because she appears to have absolutely no understanding of how a profit margin within organizations work, and the fact that actually most businesses, with some rare exceptions like the AI companies, are not fucking coining it. Some of our more traditional businesses, especially if they're anything to do with retail or food and beverages, are right on the edge of collapse.
Yeah.
And those are the jobs that are most hit by increases in minimum wage. And that the national insurance, employers' national insurance, A, the reduction to £5,000 as the starter payment, and B, the increase from 13.8 to 15%, really makes a big difference if you're running a pub that has maybe 20 employees,
Massive.
most of whom are under 21, because that's the age you work in pubs.
Most businesses, even including Sainsbury's and Tesco's, run on very thin margins.
Yeah.
So these changes make a massive difference. And if you put the cost of employing people up, for example, increasing minimum wage, it directly translates into fewer jobs and or fewer pay increases.
Of course.
Should we see what Starmer's up rabbiting? We've got 10 minutes to go till Rachel Reeves speaks. Anyway, what I was just trying to quickly say is that Rachel Reeves' measures from the last budget haven't delivered growth. They have, in fact, harmed businesses. And there's been massive increase in unemployment, a huge increase or a huge decrease in payrolled employees, right? Which is the opposite of what they're aiming for. Without more jobs and without positive real wage growth, the economy doesn't grow.
No, and if you look at GDP per capita, the frightening thing about it is not only is it stagnant, but any growth there has been through the public sector.
Yes, which isn't sustainable.
Simply because there's so much money has been pumped into it, and that's money that has been borrowed, which we then have to make the Bank of England whole, and we end up paying interest on.
So people complain they can't hear very well. So the microphone's around here, so you just got to shout at my laptop. Or turn your mic on.
You sure? When we get feedback,
just turn your speaker on. Let's try it. Let's just try it out. I will turn you on.
You done it?
Yeah.
Oh, now I've got. I did such a good job of turning everything off. I now have to go back in and turn everything back on again. Hold on. Microphone. Okay. That. No. Yeah. Okay.
No,
yeah.
So right, guys, is that better? Can you hear both me and Stig perfectly?
We've already got people saying that it was fine before.
I know. Okay. All right. Well then, then stop. Sorry about this, guys. We're not in a typical location, so right. Let's see what. Let's start. We'll have a 10-minute run up to Reeves now. So
yeah. Let's hear it.
Now we're getting people saying it's glitchy, but it's better. That's better. But then I can't hear Starmer. That's the problem. So.
To contract. Will the Prime Minister reassure my constituents that he supports the industry in the Oval, and will his government finally get round to awarding this long overdue contract?
Well, can I pay tribute to those in Somerset and his constituency in the defence sector, which is hugely important to our country and our security. I can confirm we're continuing with the establishment procurement process for the new medium helicopter programme to deliver modern equipment for our armed forces. That's part of the biggest sustained boost to our defence since the Cold War, and I'm determined to see a defence dividend of investment in British jobs and apprentices, including in his constituency. Mr Speaker, that builds on the £8 billion Typhoon deal that we've secured, the £4 billion maritime deal with Indonesia, and the £10 billion frigate deal with Norway.
Serena Blackenbridge.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I joined Wensfield Men walking and talking on International Men's Day, a fantastic group who are strengthening our community through good company and what Stephen calls a growing band of brothers. In an age of pressure, polarisation and endless phone scrolling, they bring men together to support one another. Will the Prime Minister join me in congratulating all involved and explain how the first ever men's health strategy will back similar grassroots initiatives?
Can I thank her? It is so important that men have the space and support from their peers to discuss their mental health. Can I thank Men Walking and Talking for the work?
It is absolutely gobsmacking that the OBR has leaked. The OBR has leaked the budget. Can that have been just sheer rank incompetence or political skullduggery?
I don't see how, but how is it political? It's just another. I mean, as Kemi Badenoch, and I'm not a big fan in the first place, said, this has been totally mismanaged all the way through. The number of kites that have been flown about potential things. And then even last night at 6 o'clock, the announcement that, oh, yes, definitely the living wage and the minimum wage are going up. And exact percentages, that it's a very odd budget. Why has there been this dripping through? Unless we're about to see massive fireworks and everyone is going to be blindsided. But I think that's very unlikely.
I can't decide whether this budget is about to be a big nothing burger because they've leaked everything already.
Exactly.
And then it just it'll be very difficult to react to it. It's a sort of weird thing, like death by 1,000 cuts, but you've already had them.
Yeah. Look, they didn't hurt, did they?
No.
You haven't implemented them yet, you bastards.
And now she's going to start and say, so I've already done it.
We've got a reply here. OBR says it was a technical error. Yeah.
That's one way of describing it.
I've worked in IT for 25 years. Technical errors in terms of releasing press releases.
Yes. Whoops.
Oh, no, it was the AI. The AI sent it out. It was working on Spanish time.
Unbelievable. So, but are there any surprises in it? No. $2 billion. I'm going to just let Starmer speak. All right.
As it is economic growth. So does the Prime Minister agree that the swiftest way to achieve growth is for the government to be even more ambitious in negotiating with the European Union to remove the new red tape and trade barriers that have been holding back UK businesses, especially small and medium-sized ones, since the Conservatives' poorly managed exit from the European Union?
Well, the deal we struck with the EU will deliver on what the British public voted for last year, which is, as he says, boosting economic growth and restoring positive relations. And the deal we've struck is worth £9 billion to our economy in 2040. It includes an SBS agreement to cut supermarket prices and boost export opportunities. And the tourism reform would rip up that deal and leave us all paying more at the checkout.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to economic growth, this Labour government is all talk and no action. So maybe I can help the Prime Minister. Roadworks and traffic jams cost the UK economy £8 billion last year. This affects my constituents in Broxbourne every single day. They want to know what the government is doing about it, when the government is going to back working people and get Britain moving.
Under this government, growth is the highest in the G7 for the first half of this year. Under the last government, they crashed the economy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday was the UN International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, otherwise known as White Ribbon Day in Milton Keynes and many other places. Will the Prime Minister join with me in congratulating Mr. Speaker on his commitment that this House will become the first national white ribbon parliament in the world? And will he join me, Mr. Speaker, and many members from across this House in making the white ribbon promise to never use, excuse, or remain silent about men's violence against women?
Can I thank her for raising this really important issue? And I'm really proud, Mr. Speaker, on what you've done with this Parliament in relation to the White Ribbon campaign. We must then turn that from a ribbon into action. And I am really proud that this government is fully committed to tackling violence against women and girls. It is a political commitment, it is a personal commitment from me, and we'll do everything we can in relation to reducing violence against women and girls, which is pernicious. It is far more widespread than people appreciate, and we absolutely have to stop talking and start doing in relation to this.
Final question, Liz Subble-Roberts.
From his previous answer, we can only conclude that the Prime Minister has faith in the member of Clacton to police his own party on Russian interference. But the leader of Reform has already said that this is beyond his capabilities. Why, therefore, is the Prime Minister so unwilling to take responsibility and launch a full investigation into foreign interference in our democracies?
UK markets swing as early budget measures release
interference in our democracy. But the responsibility for the investigation of what happened in Reform lies with the leader of the Reform Party. Mr. Speaker, he's usually got plenty to say, and now he's totally silent on one of the most important issues. Mr. Speaker, he needs to speak up and answer those questions.
That completes Prime Minister's questions.
I mean, it's only 50 points at the moment, but somebody here makes a very good point. And yet they can't even get a press release right.
Who's that?
Deputy Speaker, this morning we have seen an unprecedented leak of the OBR's Economic and Fiscal Outlook report before the budget. This report contains market-sensitive information. It is utterly outrageous that this has happened, and this leak may indeed constitute a criminal act. In Prime Minister's questions, the Leader of the Opposition asked the Prime Minister about this leak, but he refused to answer her question. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, please can you advise this House what steps are at its disposal to force a leak inquiry into this matter, and would it be possible to ask the Table Office to distribute copies of the report given to the House, given that everybody outside of this House has already had the opportunity to read it?
Order! This is not a point of order for the Chair. The Chancellor is about to make her budget statement, and I expect members and their constituents wish to hear from the Chancellor directly. However, before I call the Chancellor to speak, I nonetheless wish to make a short statement. For a number of weeks, and yet again yesterday, there have been extensive briefings to the media on the government's fiscal policy and public finances. This disappointing trend in relation to budget briefings has been growing for a number of years under successive governments, but appears to have reached an unprecedented high. Weeks ago, we saw the Chancellor delivering a speech in Downing Street, setting the scene for the budget, as well as specific policy announcements being briefed out to the media in advance of today's financial statements. I don't need any help. And just a moment ago, it seems the OBR analysis has also appeared online. This all falls short of standards that the House expects. The premature disclosure of the contents of the budget has always been regarded as a supreme discourtesy to this House and to all the democratically elected members, not to mention to Mr. Speaker and to myself, the Chairman of Ways and Means. The government's own ministerial code cannot be clearer, as set out in paragraph 9.1. When Parliament is in session, the most important announcements of government policy should be made in the first instance to Parliament. Mr. Speaker has always upheld the rights of this House and its members to be treated with respect and to be the first to hear major government policy announcements on behalf of their constituents. As Chairman of Ways and Means, I have responsibility to oversee the House's consideration of the budget statement and the ensuing resolutions, which are described in Erskine May, paragraph 36-33, as the most important business of Ways and Means in this House. I want honourable members on all sides of the House to have adequate opportunity to hold the Chancellor to account, rather than hear and read about new policies on a daily basis in the media. And like many, I also expected better. Before I call the Chancellor of the Exchequer, I remind honourable members that copies of the budget resolutions will be available to them from the vote office in members' lobby at the end of the Chancellor's statement and online. I also remind honourable members that interventions are not taken during the Chancellor's statement, nor during replies to the Leader of the Opposition or the Leader of the Liberal Democrats. I call the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Madam Deputy Speaker.
Order. Chancellor.
Madam Deputy Speaker, it is my understanding that the Office of Budget Responsibility's Economic and Financial Outlook was released on their website before this statement. This is deeply disappointing and a serious error on their part. The Office of Budget Responsibility have already made a statement taking full responsibility for their breach. Madam Deputy Speaker, we are rebuilding our economy. Over the last 16 months, we have overhauled our planning system to get Britain building, forged new trade deals with the United States, India and the European Union, reformed our visa system to bring the brightest and the best to Britain. We've changed our fiscal rules that we inherited from the Conservatives and raised public investment to its highest level in 4 decades. And in last year's budget, I raised taxes on business and the wealthiest to close the £22 billion black hole in the public finances. And we used that money to fund the biggest ever settlement for our National Health Service. They were the fair and necessary choices, and we faced opposition to them, from opponents to planning reform, who will always demand that the future is built somewhere else, not in their backyard. Opponents to trade, who want to take us down the path of isolation and division. Opponents to investment, who believe that the only good thing a government can do is get out of the way. Opponents who insist that the only way to balance the books is to cut public spending. And opponents who say that we don't need to balance the books at all. But we made these choices for a reason. Because after 14 years of Conservative government, working people demanded and deserved change. Investment, not cuts to our public services. Stability for our public finances. The single most important factor in getting the cost of living down. And economic growth, the best means to improve wages, create jobs and support public services. That is what our plan, that is what this government and our Prime Minister are all about. Today's budget builds on the choices that we have made since July last year. To cut NHS waiting lists, to cut the cost of living, and to cut debt and borrowing. No doubt we will face opposition again, but I have yet to see a credible or a fairer alternative plan for working people. These are my choices, the right choices for a fairer, a stronger and more secure Britain.
Order. Far too much noise, and I expected so much better from you, Dr. Luke Evans. You're meant to be a leader in your community. Simmer down, Chancellor.
I'm happy for them to shout as much as they like, Madam Deputy Speaker, as long as they do it from the opposition benches where they can't cause any more damage. I said there would be no return to austerity, and I meant it. This budget will maintain investment in our economy and in our National Health Service. I said I would cut the cost of living, and I meant it. This budget will bring down inflation and provide immediate relief for families. I said I would cut debt and borrowing, and I meant it. Because of this budget, borrowing will fall as a share of GDP in every year of this forecast. Our next financial debt will be lower at the end of the forecast than it is today. And I will more than double the headroom against our stability rule to £21.7 billion, meeting our stability rule and meeting it a year early. These are my choices. Not austerity, not borrowing, not turning a blind eye to unfairness. My choices are a budget for fair taxes, strong public services and a stable economy. That is the Labour choice. Growth is the engine that carries every one of our ambitions forward. Through stability, investment
fun so far, but
and
it's not
reform.
fun for the country.
The platform from which British ambition can finally get moving again. Because growth doesn't just appear out of thin air. It is built patiently and stubbornly by people who take risks, by founders who bet their savings on an idea, by firms breaking into new markets, developing new technologies and creating new jobs and new opportunities, by the men and the women who work hard every day in all parts of our country. Our job is not to watch from the sidelines, but to partner with them, backing them every step of the way, to match private enterprise with public ambition. I would like to thank my team of officials at the Treasury for their hard work in preparing this budget.
Can you hear me better now, guys?
In the spring, the Office of Budget Responsibility forecast that our economy would grow by 1% this year. I said then that Britain would defy the forecasts, and defy them we have. The OBR have upgraded Britain's growth for this year from 1% to 1.5%. Reaching the same conclusions as the IMF, the OECD and the Bank of England have already upgraded their forecasts. Today, the OBR have published the result of their review of the supply side of the economy. They are clear that this is not about the last 14 months. It is about the previous 14 years.
Oh, it's a Tories again!
The legacy of Brexit and the pandemic, and the damaging decisions by the party opposite. Cutting public spending, leaving communities and entire regions behind, starving our economy of investment and weakening our public services. As a result of their review, the OBR are reducing their expectations for productivity growth by 0.3 percentage points to 1% by the end of the forecast. They say today, and I quote, real GDP is forecast to grow by 1.5% on average over the forecast due to lower underlying productivity growth. There is an impact on our public finances too. The OBR say that their productivity forecast will mean £16 billion less in tax receipts by 2030. These forecasts are the Tories' legacy.
How is she doing that with a straight face? What are the Tories?
Order. It is very hard to hear the Chancellor over all the shouting. And Mr. Holmes, you promised me yesterday you were going to be on top behaviour in the first few minutes. Chancellor.
We beat the forecasts this year and we will beat them again. By boosting trade, not blocking it. By increasing investment, not cutting it. By championing innovation, not stifling it. By backing working people, not making them poorer. Brick by brick, we've been building our economy. Building roads, building homes, getting spades in the ground and cranes in the sky. Growth begins with the spark of an entrepreneur. Half of new jobs in Britain are created by scale-up businesses, and we want those jobs created
cranes
here,
in the sky,
not somewhere else. Our job is to make Britain the best place in the world to start up, to scale up and to stay. So we're widening eligibility for our enterprise incentives, so scale-ups can attract the talent and the capital that they need. Expanding the enterprise management incentive so more companies can offer tax-relieved share options. re-engineering our enterprise investment and venture capital trust schemes so they don't just back early-stage ideas, but stay with companies as they grow. Introducing UK listings relief, a 3-year exemption from stamp duty reserve tax for companies who choose to list here in Britain. And to continue this work, I am launching a call for evidence on how our tax system can better back entrepreneurs, and a targeted review with founders and investors at the heart to make the UK an even more attractive place to grow your business. We are sending a simple message to the world. If you build here, Britain will back you. And our retail investment system should do the same. The UK has some of the lowest levels of retail investment in the G7. And that is not only bad for business, who need that investment to grow, it's bad for savers too. Someone who has invested £1,000 a year in an average stocks and shares ISA every year since 1999 would be £50,000 better off today if they'd put that same money into a cash ISA. And so from April 2027, I will reform our ISA system, keeping the full £20,000 allowance while designating 8,000 of it exclusively for investment, with over 65s retaining the full cash allowance. And thanks to our changes to financial advice and guidance, banks will be able to guide savers to better choices for their hard-earned money. Over 50% of the ISA market, including Hargreaves Lansdown, HSBC, Lloyds, Vanguard and Barclays, have signed up to launch new online hubs to help people invest here in Britain. At this budget, consistent with the commitments in our corporate tax roadmap, I will retain our competitive corporation tax rate, the lowest in the G7, and retain our generous full expensing offer for business investments. I will also introduce a new 40% first-year allowance so that businesses can write off more of the cost of their investment up front, while reducing main rate writing down allowances in line with fiscal constraints. Private investment is the lifeblood of economic growth. But growth needs public investment too. When faced with challenges, previous Chancellors have chosen to decrease, delay or cancel capital spending. But low investment is the cause of our productivity problem, not the solution. So my choice is not cuts, not stagnation, but to maintain the additional £120 billion of investment that I provided at the spending review. In transport to link our towns and our cities, energy infrastructure to power our businesses, and housing so people can live near good jobs paying decent wages and growing businesses. That is the Labour choice. I'm grateful to the Financial Secretary to the Treasury for his work in driving our growth agenda forward. As we allocate investment for the infrastructure that is the backbone of economic growth across our country, today, I will commit investment for the Lower Thames Crossing. And we're continuing to drive investment in city-region transport, in the Midlands Rail Hub and the Transpennine route upgrade, along with our commitments to the Northern Growth Corridor, including Northern Powerhouse Rail. It is this Labour government that has overhauled our planning system, and I will today provide further funding to increase planning capacity through a new skills offer, as called for by the British Chamber of Commerce and the Confederation of British Industry. It is this Labour government that has invested in nuclear power, in Sizewell C and in Culham. We are taking forward our commitment to slash electricity prices for thousands of manufacturing businesses, as Make UK and many others have called for. And today I'm pleased to welcome John Finkelton's report, an ambitious plan to cut the red tape that has tied our nuclear industry in knots for decades. And within 3 months, we will set out our plan for delivering his recommendations.
She needs a drink. Yeah.
We are proud of our industrial heritage, and we are determined to build the industry of the future so that we buy, make and sell more here in Britain. That's why, as we increase defence spending, we are investing in Portsmouth, in Barrow and in Plymouth. And I'm pleased to be supporting Team Derby, an initiative to drive growth in one of our defence industry hubs. It's why we stepped in to save British steel in Scunthorpe and invested in Sheffield Forge Masters.
SMRs.
And it's why we've changed government procurement so we can buy British when it is crucial to our national security. For steel, for shipbuilding, and today for AI, driving innovation and building that great industry here in Britain. But it's not just what we invest that matters, it's how we invest. Putting money and power back in the hands of local and regional leaders. Today, we are devolving £13 billion of flexible funding for 7 mayors to invest in skills, business support and infrastructure. I'm extending the business rates retention pilots in the West of England, Liverpool City region and Cornwall until 2029. I'm providing £30 million for the Kernow Industrial Growth Fund for sectors like critical minerals and marine innovation. I am establishing the Leeds City Fund, a long-term agreement to retain business rates to fund local regeneration projects like the development of Leeds South Bank, and I am allocating £20 million for the new Peterborough Sports Quarter and £16 million for a science centre in Darlington from the Growth Mission Fund. The benefits of investment, the benefits of investment and growth must be built and felt in every part of our United Kingdom. So we are providing an additional £370 million for the Northern Ireland Executive, £505 million for the Welsh Government, and £820 million for the Scottish Government over the spending review period through the Barnett formula. And I am making... Sorry, I didn't quite catch that from the SNP. Did they not?
Which would have cost over £1 billion to build up. When she starts talking about
£820 million for the Scottish Government over the spending review period because Anna Sawa asked us to. And I'm making targeted investments in our industrial strategy sectors across the UK. In Northern Ireland, I am providing £17 million to support businesses and strengthen the UK internal market, and backing advanced manufacturing through the Northern Ireland Enhanced Investment Zone. Wales will be the host for 2 AI growth zones, creating more than 8,000 jobs, supported by a £10 million investment in the semiconductors critical for that industry. And we are building the UK's first small modular nuclear reactors with Rolls-Royce at Wilfer in Anglesey. Two Labour governments working together in Wales to deliver for the people of Wales. And in Scotland, I'm committing over £14 million for low-carbon technologies in Grangemouth, £20 million to renew infrastructure at Inch Green in Inverclyde, and £20 million to redevelop Kirkcaldy Town Centre and Seafront, with construction starting next year. And that's on top of the UK's biggest ever warship export deal with the Norwegian government to build frigates in Glasgow, supporting 4,000 jobs. Investment opposed by the SNP, jobs opposed by the SNP, defence opposed by the SNP, but secured by this Labour government. A growing economy needs strong foundations of economic stability, with borrowing, inflation down and investment up. That is good for business, and it is good for working people, so they have more money in their pockets. Economic stability, safeguarded by ironclad fiscal rules, is our best defence against rising prices and the best way to improve living standards. We've all seen the alternative. 3 years ago, in their clamour to cut taxes for the richest, the Tories under Liz Truss crashed the economy and sent mortgage rates spiralling and brought pensions to the brink.
The Tories again.
They're being so loud, Madam Deputy Speaker, and yet I can't even hear them now. Now, I know that I know that the leader of the Green Party is a keen hypnotherapist, and he believes that he can achieve remarkable things using only the power of his mind. Unfortunately, the only things getting bigger under his approach would be the deficit and the rate of inflation. And for all the damage that the Conservative cuts did to our schools and our hospitals, they also doubled the national debt. Our net financial debt this year will be £2.6 trillion, 83% of GDP, meaning that today, 1 in every £10 that government spends is on debt interest. Not on paying down that debt, but just on paying the interest on the debt that we inherited from the Conservatives. My fiscal rules will get borrowing down while supporting investment. The stability rule, that day-to-day expenditure must be met through tax receipts. And the investment rule, which allows me to increase investment whilst getting debt on a downward path. Those fiscal rules are non-negotiable. I met them at the budget last year, I met them in the spring, and I have met them today. While the current budget balance is in deficit by £28.8 billion in 26-27 and £4.6 billion in 27-28, it moves into a surplus of £3.9 billion in 28-29, £21.7 billion in 29-30, and £24.6 billion in 2030-31. More than doubling our headroom against the stability rule and meeting that rule a year early too. And our net financial debt is 83.3% in 26-27, 83.6% in 27-28, 83.7% in 28-29, falling to 83.0% in 29-30 and 82.2% in 2030-31. Madam Deputy Speaker, I said we would cut the debt, and we are, with debt down by the end of the forecast. And going forwards, to support our commitment to a single fiscal event and further strengthen our economic stability, I will follow the recommendations of the International Monetary Fund by assessing the fiscal rules just once a year at the budget.
So just...
Despite the challenges we face on productivity, the path of our deficit reduction remains broadly the same as in spring. Public sector net borrowing is due to be £112.1 billion, or 3.5% of GDP in 26-27, 3% in 27-28, 2.6% in 28-29, 1.9% in 29-30, and 1.9% in 2030-31, ending at £67.2 billion, translating into an increase in the net cash requirement next year of £4.2 billion, taking the total to £133.3 billion. According to the IMF, we are due to reduce borrowing more over the rest of this Parliament than any other G7 economy.
This is one that
The
British people don't care about the other G7
we are
economies.
protecting it. The Conservatives lost control of debt. We are getting debt down. The Conservatives let inflation and interest rates go through the roof. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, since Labour took office, the Bank of England have cut interest rates 5 times. I've made my choices. Not reckless borrowing, not dangerous cuts, but stability for our economy, security for our public finances, and security for family finances too. Those are the Labour choices. Madam Deputy Speaker, Tory austerity left classrooms crumbling and waiting lists sky high, weakened our productivity and choked our economic growth. And now they propose a further £47 billion of cuts to our public services. Well, that is equivalent to cutting every police officer in our country twice over. And then there is Reform, who promise more than £100 billion of cuts, with no details of where those cuts will come from or who will pay for them. a recipe for devastating damage to our public services. People voted for Labour because they wanted roads that aren't full of potholes. They want police on our streets, and they want an NHS that is there when they need it.
Telling us what we want.
And we're delivering that. Waiting lists down by 230,000. And not just the 2 million additional appointments we promised, but an additional 5.2 million appointments already delivered since the general election. I joined the Labour Party almost 30 years ago because I could see that the Conservative government that I grew up under didn't care much about schools like mine. Textbooks were rationed. I know that many of you weren't at schools like mine.
There is far too much noise, far too much excitement. People need to calm down a little. Chancellor.
You didn't care about schools like mine.
Respect me. Respect me.
But I will tell them. Textbooks rationed, libraries closed, kids herded into porta cabins in the playground, and I came into politics to change that. The money that I allocated at the spending review will fix the crumbling classrooms that the Conservatives left behind and build the schools that they promised but never delivered. And today, thanks to representations from my honourable friends, the members for Wolverhampton North East and Leeds South West and Morley, I will provide £5 million for libraries in secondary schools, building on the £10 million commitment to ensure that every primary school has a school library within this Parliament.
Oh,
and
increase
thanks to
of bingo.
representations
Increase
from my honourable
education
friends,
spending.
the members for Bournemouth East and from Luton North, I am providing £18 million to improve and upgrade playgrounds across England. Madam Deputy Speaker, let there be no doubt that this is a government that is on the side of our kids and who will back their potential.
Really not.
I will not allow the legacies of Conservative neglect to stain our society.
God.
Last year, I made changes to the Mine Workers Pension Scheme to ensure that its members receive the fair pensions that they are owed. This year, with thanks to the Minister for Pensions for all his work in this subject, I can go further. I have heard representations from Labour Coalfield MPs, including my honourable friends, the members for Bassett Law, Blythe and Ashington, Barnsley South, Mansfield and Llanelli. And today I can announce that I will transfer the Investment Reserve Fund of the British Coal Staff Superannuation Scheme to its members. The men and the women who worked in our coal industry get a fair deal in their retirement too. And more. Having heard representations from my honourable friends, the members for Banbury and the member for Edinburgh South West, I will index for inflation on pensions accrued before 1997 in the Pension Protection Fund and the Financial Assurance Scheme, so that people whose pension schemes became insolvent, no fault of their own, no longer lose out as the result of inflation.
Don't get me wrong, that's a good
Last
thing.
year, I also provided funding to compensate the victims of the infected blood scandal, after the previous government failed to budget for the costs of compensation.
Library there and a playground
This
here.
year, I have listened to representations from my honourable friend, the member for Eltham and Chislehurst, and my honourable friend, the member for Edinburgh South West. I would like to thank the Minister for Employment for her representations over many years on this subject. As a result, I will exempt all payments from the infected blood scheme from inheritance tax, regardless of the circumstances in which those payments are passed down. Madam Deputy Speaker, that is how we should be spending taxpayers' money, on dealing with injustices and building strong public services, not on waste and inefficiency. At the spending review, I set an ambitious target of £14 billion of efficiencies per year by 2029, and I am grateful to the Chief Secretary to the Treasury for driving that work forward, realising savings through AI and automation, and by scrapping NHS England and reducing back-office staff by 18,000. At this budget, I will find a further £4.9 billion of efficiencies by 2031, getting rid of police and crime commissioners, cutting the cost of politics and local government, and selling government assets that we no longer have any use for. These savings will be required across government, but for our National Health Service, I will reinvest all of these savings back into the care that people rely on. More nurses, more GPs, more appointments. Restoring the services that faltered under years of Conservative decline and investing in the future of our National Health Service. And today I am announcing £300 million of investment in technology to improve patient service and 250 new neighbourhood health centres. Expanding more services into communities so that people can receive treatment outside of hospitals and get better, faster care where they live. Over 100 of these will be delivered by 2030, including in Birmingham, Truro and Southall. The Labour Party founded our National Health Service and we will renew our National Health Service. I will take the same approach for defence spending that I take to NHS spending, reinvesting savings back into our national security. In our age of insecurity, Britain will continue to stand with our allies, working in collaboration to secure a sustainable ceasefire for Ukraine and maintaining our commitment to NATO, with the UK set to spend 2.6% of GDP on defence by April 2027. Madam Deputy Speaker, the public rightly expects that we stamp out fraud, error and waste and put that money to good use in our schools and our hospitals and other frontline services.
Hey, I won't vote fraud.
My right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, has already announced that she will claw back excess profits from the use of hotels to house asylum seekers, as we phase out the use of those hotels entirely. And we will consult on reforms to indefinite leave to remain and access to taxpayer-funded benefits. The introduction of digital ID will break the link between illegal migration and illegal working. And the HMRC and the Fair Work Agency will crack down on illicit businesses that blight our high streets and undercut illegitimate firms.
This is pushing digital ID.
Enforcing the minimum wage, investigating dodgy businesses and increasing scrutiny of the gig economy, as well as tracking down fraudulent business owners who vanish without paying their taxes. And I'd like to thank my honourable friends, the members for Great Grimsby and Cleethorpes, Lee and Atherton and Kensington and Bayswater for their representations on this subject. And I'll take further steps to prevent and track down unpaid tax, which will together, these reforms will raise nearly £10 billion a year by 2030, including through new powers for HMRC to pursue the promoters of tax avoidance schemes. I am building on our successful use of targeted checks on welfare claims to root out fraud and error and prevent public money being paid to people who are not entitled to it. And I would like to thank Tom Hayhoe, the COVID Corruption Commissioner, for his work in helping to chase down nearly £400 million from dodgy pandemic spending and contracts. Contracts handed out to by Tory ministers to Tory peers and Tory friends. That money belongs in our schools and in our hospitals.
We still had enough spares.
It is so noisy now, we can barely hear the Chancellor. Everybody needs to calm down. Chancellor.
Well, I wouldn't want any honourable member to miss this. So we are chasing down that money and we've got almost £400 million back from dodgy pandemic spending. Tory contracts handed out by Tory ministers to Tory peers and Tory donors. Well, that money belongs in our schools and in our hospitals and we are getting that money back. And finally, Madam Deputy Speaker, we are ramping up sanctions on Russia and we are freezing known Russian assets. But let me be clear, I don't actually mean the
Jake,
honourable member.
that's apple juice. Look, you can see it's apple juice. Apple juice. Apple juice. Very apple.
Under the Conservatives.
Order. You don't need commentary from the backbenches, and Mr. Dewhurst, you are so loud. It's remarkable how far your voice carries. Chancellor.
Under the Conservatives, the cost of our welfare system increased by nearly 1 percentage point of GDP, equivalent to £88 billion in just 5 years. The broken welfare system that we inherited wrote off millions of people as too sick to work, and we will reform that system so that it is a system that does not count the cost of failure, but one that protects people who cannot work and empowers those who can. We have brought back face-to-face assessments for disability benefits. Those are the face-to-face assessments that the Shadow Chancellor got rid of when he was Work and Pensions Secretary.
None of it is fucking budget.
And our changes to universal credit will get
I said it
15,000
before, I'll say it
people
again.
back
She
into
doesn't
work, a figure
understand her
confirmed
job.
today. The former Health Secretary, Alan Milburn, will review the causes of rising youth inactivity, and we are already taking action. I'm grateful to the Federation of Small Businesses and Small Business Britain for their representations on apprenticeships. And today I am announcing funding to make the training for under 25 apprenticeships completely free for small and medium-sized enterprises.
Yeah.
And funding our new youth guarantee, providing £820 million over the next 3 years to give young people who are let down by the Conservatives the support and the opportunity that they deserve.
For apprenticeships.
Guaranteeing every young person a place in college, an apprenticeship or personalised job support. And after 18 months, 18 to 21-year-olds will be offered paid work, not benefits. The Motability Scheme was set up to protect the most vulnerable, not to subsidise the lease on a Mercedes-Benz. And so I am making reforms that will reduce generous taxpayer subsidies, and Motability have confirmed that they will remove luxury vehicles from their scheme, getting the scheme back to its original purpose of offering cost-effective leases to disabled people.
Yes.
And taxpayers' money should not be spent on pensions for people abroad, who only lived here for a couple of years and may never even have paid a penny in tax. The Conservatives allowed thousands of people living abroad to buy their way into the state pension for as little as £3.50 a week, debasing the purpose of our pension system. And so I will abolish access to Class 2 voluntary national insurance contributions for people living abroad, increasing the time that someone has to live or work in Britain to 10 years and increasing the contributions that they must pay. These reforms improve our welfare system. They support our young people, protect those who need it most, and put an end to Conservative waste and unfairness. Madam Deputy Speaker, to break the cycle of austerity, we need a fair and a sustainable tax system, one that generates revenues to fund the public services that we all use, and supports investment to grow our economy. That does mean that today I am asking everyone to make a contribution.
There we go.
Broad shoulders.
The previous Conservative government froze personal tax thresholds from 2021 to 2028. And today I will maintain all income tax and equivalent national insurance thresholds at their current level for a further 3 years from 2028. While ensuring that people...
The noise is far too high. Chancellor.
The Right Honourable Lady supported these freezes when her party made them. She might want to forget about it, but the British people never will.
No, exactly, and you're making it worse.
At the same time, we are ensuring that people only in receipt of the basic or new state pension do not have to pay small amounts of tax through simple assessment from April 2027. I will also keep the Plan 2 student loan repayments threshold at its 2026-27 level for 3 years. Madam Deputy Speaker, I know that maintaining these thresholds is a decision that will affect working people. I said that last year, and I won't pretend otherwise now. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am asking everyone to make a contribution, but I can keep that contribution as low as possible because I will make further reforms to our tax system today to make it fairer and to ensure that the wealthiest contribute the most. The Conservatives knew that our tax system didn't work. Time and time again, they ducked the necessary reforms, leaving a system unfit for a changing economy, with unfairness that they refused to address. Currently, a landlord with an income of £25,000 will pay nearly £1,200 less in tax than their tenants with the same salary, because no national insurance is charged on property, dividend or savings income. It's not fair that the tax system treats different types of income so differently. And so I will increase the basic and higher rate of tax on property, savings and dividend income by 2 percentage points, and the additional rate of tax on property and savings income by 2 percentage points. Even after these reforms, 90% of taxpayers will still pay no tax at all on their savings. As well as narrowing the gap between the tax on income from assets and income from work, I also believe that a fair society is one where the wealthiest pay their fair share. The reforms I made last year will raise an additional £8 billion a year by 2020-30 from wealth. I increased taxes last year on private equity, private schools and private jets. I abolished the non-dom tax regime. And this year, I will make 2 changes to cap trust charges and prevent avoidance. I reformed inheritance tax on agricultural and business assets. And this year, I am aligning those reforms with wider inheritance tax rules by allowing the transfer of the 100% relief allowance between spouses, balancing the taxation of these valuable assets with the realities of family life. In this budget, I will take further steps to deal with a long-standing source of wealth inequality in our country. A Band D home in Darlington or Blackpool pays just under £2,400 in council tax, nearly £300 more than a £10 million mansion in Mayfair. And so, from 2028, I am introducing the high-value council tax surcharge in England, an annual £2,500 charge for properties worth more than £2 million, rising to £7,500 for properties worth more than £5 million. This will be collected alongside council tax, levied on owners, and we will consult on options for support or deferral. This new surcharge will raise over £400 million by 2031 and will be charged on less than the top 1% of properties. Madam Deputy Speaker, reliefs in our tax system cost the taxpayer billions of pounds a year, but many of them no longer serve their original purpose. The government rightly provides generous tax relief for people paying into a pension, relieving income tax on all contributions and on the investment itself, as well as national insurance relief on employer contributions, at a cost of over £70 billion a year to the Exchequer. This budget makes no changes to those reliefs or to the tax-free lump sum. But salary sacrifice for pensions, which was intended to be a small part of our pension system, is forecast to almost treble in cost to other taxpayers, from £2.8 billion in 2017 to £8 billion by 2030, with the greatest benefit going to the highest earners, or to those in the financial services sector putting their bonuses into pensions tax-free, while those on the minimum wage or those whose employers don't offer salary sacrifice don't benefit at all. That is not sustainable for our public finances, putting pressure on the tax that everyone else pays. And so I am introducing a £2,000 cap on salary sacrifice into a pension, with contributions above that taxed in the same way as other employee pension contributions. That is a pragmatic step so that people, especially on low and middle incomes, can continue to use salary sacrifice for their pension without paying any more in tax than they do now, and to give individuals and employers time to adjust to these new arrangements. These changes will come into effect in 2029. The coalition government introduced 100% relief from capital gains tax on business sales made to employee ownership trusts, creating a route for gains to go completely untaxed when businesses are sold. I will reduce that relief to 50%, retaining a strong incentive for employee-owned companies. And as we work towards doubling the size of the cooperative economy, the Department for Business and Trade will launch a call for evidence on how we can better support co-ops to grow. Because of the changes that I have made to capital gains tax this year and last year, receipts are forecast to increase from £14 billion this year to £30 billion by 2030. To support our high streets, I am announcing a package of regulatory changes as called for by UK Hospitality and the British Retail Consortium. And I will support the Great British Pub through our new national licensing framework, encouraging councils to back our pubs and to back late-night venues with greater freedoms. For business rates, I will introduce permanently lower tax rates for over 750,000 retail, hospitality and leisure properties, the lowest rates since 1991, paid for through higher rates on properties worth more than £500,000, like the warehouses used by online giants. Alongside this, I will introduce a package of support worth over £4.3 billion over the next 3 years for a property of any size seeing a large increase in their bill. And to support a level playing field in retail, I will stop online firms from undercutting our high street businesses by ensuring customs duty applies on parcels of any value. I will reform.
Guys, you can't hear me. I am here. I'm just speaking quietly.
Search and rescue vehicles from vehicle excise duty, as called for by my honourable friends, the member for the Western Isles and for Whitehaven and Workington. And because all cars contribute to the wear and tear on our roads, I will ensure that drivers are taxed according to how much they drive, and not just by the type of car they own, by introducing the electric vehicle excise duty on electric cars.
Bingo.
This will be payable each year alongside vehicle excise duty at 3p per mile for electric cars and 1.5p for plug-in hybrids, helping us to double road maintenance funding in England over the course of this Parliament. And alongside this, I am providing support to boost our British car industry, increasing the threshold for the expensive car supplement on electric vehicles to £50,000, saving over 1 million motorists £440 a year, providing £1.3 billion additional funding for the electric car grant, extending it to 2030 and taking total funding to £2 billion, as well as delaying changes to the employee car ownership scheme. In addition, we're investing a further £200 million to accelerate the rollout of EV charging, as well as 100% business rates relief for EV charge points for the next decade, with thanks to my honourable friend, the member for Camborne and Redruth, for his representations on this policy. And I will improve competition in our taxi industry by ending ride-hailing companies' use of a discount scheme intended for coach tours, as called for by Steve McNamara, the General Secretary of the Licensed Taxi Drivers Association, legislating to restrict access so that everyone pays fairly and protecting £700 million of tax revenue each year. I am responding to our consultation on landfill tax, and listening to representations, particularly from our house building industry. I will not converge towards a single rate, but I will prevent the gap between the two rates from widening to balance the need to address tax avoidance in the current structure. I will today publish Ray McCann's report into the loan charge along with the government's response, setting out a new settlement opportunity that will finally allow people to finalise their position and draw a line under this long-standing issue. And I'd like to thank my honourable friend, the member for Milton Keynes Central, for her representations on this subject. I will continue with the planned uprating for tobacco duties that I set out last year and uprate alcohol duties by inflation, along with our plans to introduce a vaping products duty in 2026 and changes to the soft drinks industry levy announced by my right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, yesterday. And I'd like to thank the Exchequer Secretary to the Treasury for his work on all the tax measures in this budget. I will also reform gambling taxes in response to the rise in online gambling. Remote gaming is associated with the highest levels of harm. And so I am increasing remote gaming duty from 21% to 40%. With duty on online betting increasing from 15% to 25%. I am making no change to the taxes on in-person gambling or on horse racing. And I am abolishing bingo duty entirely from April next year. Taken together, my reforms to gambling tax will raise over £1 billion per year by 2031. As a result of the tax reforms I have made today, I can confirm that I will not be increasing national insurance, the basic, higher or additional rates of income tax or VAT. And I have kept everyone's contribution as low as possible through reforms to make our tax system stronger, closing loopholes, ensuring that the wealthiest pay their share, and building a tax system that is fairer for the future as our economy changes. On the day I became Chancellor, I said that I would judge my time in office a success if I knew that ordinary children from working-class backgrounds were living more fulfilling lives. Their horizons expanded, their potential realised. I joined the Labour Party, I came into politics, because I believe that every child has equal worth and deserves an equal chance to achieve their promise. The biggest barrier to equal opportunity is child poverty. Because for every child that grows up in poverty, our society pays a triple cost. The first and the heaviest is to the child. Going to school hungry, waking up in a cold home, or in another B&B. While other children enjoy the advantages of parents with time to help with homework, the quiet space at home to work in, too many go without. And there is also the cost of supporting a family in poverty, which ends up in the lap of overstretched councils, who can do no more than shunt them into temporary accommodation at huge cost to local taxpayers.
Right, so what are you going to do about that?
Then there is the future cost to our economy and to our society, of wasted talent and a welfare system that bears the cost of failure for decades to come. Young people with so much to contribute, but whose potential is suffocated early by limited life chances and missed opportunities, struggling to make their way in a society that did not look out for them. I don't intend to preside over a status quo that punishes children for the circumstances of their birth.
What are you going to do?
And demands that we all pay 3 times over for it. Since last July, we've rolled out free breakfast clubs in schools. We're expanding free school meals to 500,000 more kids, lifting 100,000 children out of poverty as we do it. We've passed the Renters' Rights Act and we've extended the childcare offer. And I'm proud of all of that. But it's not enough. Because there is one policy that pushes kids into poverty more than any other. It was introduced by the party opposite.
Too much house price lending. Yeah.
They said it would save money and that it would bring about behavioural change, disincentivising poorer families from having more children.
It's the cap.
Well, even on its own terms, it failed. The welfare bill has continued to rise, And there's been no difference in the size of families. But what it has done is to push hundreds of thousands of children into poverty since it was introduced. They said they were punishing parents' choices, but it's the kids who have paid the price. They've paid the price for the policies of a party which opted for cynical gimmicks over real savings in our welfare system. I understand that many families are finding times hard and that many kids have had to make difficult choices when it comes to having kids. And there are many reasons why people choose to have children and then find themselves in difficult times. The death of a partner, separation, ill health, a lost job. I don't believe that children should have to bear the brunt of that. And neither can I, in good conscience, leave in place the vile policy known as the rape clause, requiring women to prove if their child has been conceived non-consensually to receive support. I'm proud to be Britain's first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. I take the responsibilities that come with that seriously. I will not tolerate the grotesque indignity of women of the rape clause any longer. It is dehumanising, it is cruel, and I will remove it from the statute book. And so because I am tackling fraud and error in our welfare system, because I am cracking down on tax avoidance, because I am reforming gambling taxation, I can announce today, fully costed and fully funded, the removal of the two-child limit in full from April.
What's that going to cost?
We on this side of the house. It's amazing what people get so angry about, and we've seen their true colours today. The thing they get angry about is lifting children out of poverty.
Order. Our constituents will want to hear the Chancellor.
I think our constituents have heard all they need to from the party opposites today. We on this side of the House do not believe that the solution to a broken welfare system is to punish the most vulnerable. We are lifting 450,000 children out of poverty with the end of the two-child limit. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, combined with other actions we are taking, this Labour government is achieving the biggest reduction in child poverty over a parliament since records began. That is the difference that this Labour government is making. Madam Deputy Speaker, I know how worried families are about the cost of everything. Worried that their money won't stretch to the end of the month. Worried that price... I think if you've got a house that's worth £5 million a year, you can probably afford it. But you get more exercise about reducing child poverty than you do about the richest paying more. Under this government, wages have risen by more since we were elected than in 10 years under the last government. With lower interest rates already saving families £1,200 a year off a typical new mortgage, compared to that to when Liz Truss was Prime Minister. But I know,
Tories again.
I know that people still face pressure on their budgets day to day and week to week. And where there is more to do, where we can provide relief, we are doing it. Extending the bus fare cap, cracking down on rip-off price hikes, freezing prescription charges and freezing rail fares for the first time in 30 years. I am increasing the basic and new state pension by 4.8%, an increase of £440 per year for the basic state pension, and an increase of £575 per year for the new state pension, in line with our commitment to the triple lock.
There we go, triple
At
lock,
the election,
bingo.
we promised a genuine living wage, and we are delivering it. At the budget last year,
Triple
I
lock
increased
retained.
the national minimum wage and the national living wage, and I am doing the same this year too. accepting the recommendations of the Low Pay Commission in full, and increasing the minimum wage for 18 to 20-year-olds from £10 to £10.85 an hour, and increasing the living wage from £12.21 to £12.71 an hour. Under current plans, the temporary 5p cut to fuel duty that was introduced during the pandemic will come to an end in April, and fuel duty will be uprated in line with inflation. But I know that the cost of travelling to and from work is still too expensive. And so I am extending the 5p cut until September 2026. And because I know that changes in wholesale prices are not always passed on to motorists, I am bringing in new rules to mandate petrol forecourts to share real-time price rises through a new fuel finder, empowering drivers to find the cheapest fuel, calling out rip-offs and strengthening competition, saving the average household £40 a year. Madam Deputy Speaker, one of the greatest drivers of the rising cost of living is the cost of energy prices. The cause of high energy bills must be tackled at source, and so we are investing in energy security, in nuclear and renewable energy, and in insulation through our Warm Homes Plan. But that's not enough when people are struggling with energy bills today. The Conservatives' Eco Scheme was presented as a plan to tackle fuel poverty. It costs households £1.7 billion a year on their bills. And for 97% of families in fuel poverty, the scheme, get this, has cost them more than it's saved. It is a failed scheme, and so I am scrapping it, along with taking other legacy costs off bills. And as a result, I can tell you today that for every family, we are keeping our promise to get energy bills down and cut the cost of living. With £150 cut from the average household bill from April next year. Money off bills and in the pockets of working people. That is my choice. Not to neglect Britain's energy security like the Tories did. Not to leave working families to bear the brunt of high prices like the Tories did, but to get energy costs down now and in the future. That is the Labour choice. And Madam Deputy Speaker, one more thing. Because of our action on bills and on prices, as a direct result of this budget, the Office for Budget Responsibility confirmed today that inflation is coming down faster and will be a full 0.4 percentage points lower next year. That's the benefit of a Labour government cutting the cost of living.
Won't last very long with minimum wages going up.
Madam Deputy Speaker, this Labour government is changing our country. In the face of challenges on our productivity, I will grow our economy through stability, investment and reform. I've met my fiscal rules and built our economic resilience for the future. I have asked everyone to contribute, yes, for the security of our country and the brightness of its future. But I have kept that contribution as low as possible by reforming our tax system, making it fairer and stronger for the future. I have protected our NHS, maintaining public investment and driving efficiency in government spending. I've taken action on our broken welfare system, rooting out waste and lifting children out of poverty. And I have cut the cost of living, with money off bills and prices frozen, all while keeping every single one of our manifesto commitments. Those are my choices.
Order. Mr. Rankin, Miss Morton, your voice carries right across the chamber. Right across the chamber. Try and take a breath every so often. Chancellor.
There's pathetic £2 million mansion tax. There's been nothing, has there?
Those are my choices. Not austerity, not reckless borrowing, but cutting the debt, cutting waiting lists and cutting the cost of living. Those are Labour choices, promised and delivered by this budget, promised and delivered by this Labour government. And Madam Deputy Speaker, I commend this statement to the House.
Is it okay? Is it just news? I've got a big nothing.
That was an absolute fucking. You couldn't get more nothing burgers.
Order. Under Standing Order number 51, the first motion entitled Provisional Collection of Taxes must be decided without debate. Will the Chancellor of the Exchequer please move formally?
I'll hold the floor.
Chancellor, please move formally.
Formally.
The question is that pursuant to Section 5 of the Provisional Collection of Taxes Act 1968, provisional statutory effect shall be given to the following motions. Stamp duty reserve tax, UK listing relief, motion number 60. Rates of tobacco products duty, motion number 65. As many of their opinions say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. We now come to the motion entitled Income Tax Charge. It is on this motion that the debate will take place today and on the succeeding days. The questions on this motion and on the remaining motions will be put at the end of the budget debate on Tuesday, the 2nd of December. I call the Chancellor of the Exchequer to move the motion formally.
Formally.
The question is that income tax is charged for the tax year 2026-27, and it is declared that this is expedient in the public interest that this resolution should have statutory effect under the provisions of the Provisional Collections of Taxes Act 1960.
Right. Okay. I'm just gonna wait while Stiggy has his, you know what, from what I'll talk about in these videos. He'll be back in a second, but honestly, can you all hear me okay? Just checking the comments. I want to make sure you hear me before I start talking. And I have had quite a lot of this apple juice, so I've got to and this sparkling mineral water, slightly yellow sparkling mineral water. But I don't think there's ever been so much anticipation.
Oh, the build-up
for a
leaks,
budget,
the kites
that delivered. I mean, so little.
Yeah.
Were there any surprises in there?
No.
Right. So nothing. So literally, that was just a waste of everyone's time, guys. I'm really sorry. There's a massive waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
We already knew everything that was coming. We knew about the child benefit cap being lifted. We knew about the rise in minimum wages. We knew about that yesterday.
Yep. We knew
they were going to extend fiscal drag.
The ones that people may find they weren't entirely sure were going to happen is, number one, landlords getting charged national insurance on their income.
It was expected.
It was talked about, but it wasn't a guaranteed. And also the 2% increase on savings and assets, etc., in terms of taxation, which is obviously trying to push us all to invest in stocks and shares, just as the reduction of the cash ISA limit to 12,000 a year. Whether that works or not, it's to get people out of cash and into investing. But, you know, for instance, a stocks and shares ISA, there are a number of products in which you can hold cash anyway. So, I mean, the UK public is notoriously bad at investing in companies. We seem to love cash and houses. That's all we just, you know, pensions, cash, houses, that's it. And we've got really bad at pensions because we can't afford them because of houses. And only a certain demographic have cash. So, you know, it's kind of a nothing really, because it's not going to impact the people she wants to invest don't have enough in savings to pay the rates of tax anyway. So
if you are a bond holder, if you're one of the bastards with the money,
yeah,
you're like, thank you very much. You haven't changed anything.
Yeah, exactly.
We know where we are.
Yeah.
So the gilt market's. So she's going to say victory because the gilt market hasn't reacted badly.
No,
it's going to be mainly stable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you haven't done anything.
You know what? We have not looked at the gilt market, but I bet you there is hardly any difference at all.
Yeah.
But that's because they haven't yet crunched the numbers, because the commitments she's made in education, in NHS, and in defence have got to be met from money from somewhere, and nothing that she's suggested is going to bring in that much tax, aside from continuing the extension of the freeze of thresholds.
Right.
You know, I mean, that,
which everyone expected her to do.
Because when people were very worried about this mansion tax, an extra $2,500 on council tax for somebody who's already paying nearly $5,000 in council tax is really neither here nor there. We were discussing a 1% mansion tax. Well, that would be $20,000 on top potentially of $5,000.
There's nothing like that.
No.
I actually, the rich emerged relatively unscathed from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the triple lock remains in place.
I am surprised.
Yeah, so am I. I was expecting to hear corporation tax. No, they're keeping that. And although
dividend tax didn't get changed.
Yes, it did. Yes, that's the 2% in dividends. That's the additional 2% savings and so on.
Okay.
But I would think that she could have brought dividend and capital gains in line with PAYE type stuff, but no. So it was a nothing. It was a nothing budget. And it's only when people work through the numbers, they will go, hang on a second. How? She made a big point of, we're going to pay down the deficit.
How?
How are we going to do that?
Brother Barnes on YouTube says, so the slow decline off the cliff continues.
Yes, exactly that.
There's never been so much build-up for so little reason.
We spent weeks hearing about all these different things that could be implemented, and nothing.
So there were no changes to capital gains tax?
No.
That I heard?
Nope. No. Now, the bit that I didn't quite understand, because we were talking and pouring drinks, I need to look at the business rates. She seemed to be making a big thing of that she was either freezing or she was doing something with business rates, which was going to help.
Extending relief in certain places.
Yeah, exactly. But as we know, business rates at the moment are crippling high streets. I mean, all you've got to do is walk down your average high street, and they're screwed. So, and also commercial buildings, we've still got hundreds of millions of square feet of empty office buildings. And a part of the reason for that is people are only picking the absolute best prime ones because the business rates are so bloody high. You may as well have a really good office rather than a crappy one. But what I found so funny is we've reformed planning. Look at us. Look how well we've done. And yet the 3-month hold-up for the small modular reactors is all about planning. If you read the report that guy's put together, and I can't remember his name, Fotherington or whatever it is, he's fantastic. Really good report, really interesting. That's well worth it. But they go on about spades in the ground. Yeah. Spades in the ground.
And cranes in the sky.
And yet we have the lowest number of planning approvals in 40 years for all types.
So there was absolutely no acknowledgement anywhere in that budget that there's any difficulty anywhere.
No, we're just carrying
except
on with our
children, child poverty. That's the only thing.
And look, I'll make the point, and I can get shot at by whoever.
I'm not responsible for anything Stig says.
I've posted this many times.
Don't know what he's going to say.
We are now in a country where circa, and I'm making these numbers up because I haven't looked for a while, circa 15% of the population are immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at our birth rate, circa 33% of all children born are born to non-native mothers. If you look at the fertility rate for native women in this country, it is very low. It is around the 1.22 mark, or at least it was a year or two ago. And even our immigrant fertility rate had dropped to 1.79. However, there are demographics within that immigrant rate which are higher. Now, removing the 2-child cap only helps people that have more than 2 children. And the only people having more than 2 children is a very small, with the exception of yourself, Charlie, is a very small demographic in this country. So for those of you who are worried about immigration, this is not a helping hand. And people will argue, but if they're born in this country, then it's not immigration, is it? It is a changing of the face of the UK.
Right. I'm going to get into the housing market. So a number of you are asking, so what does this mean for the housing market? Well, I think people of properties above £500,000 and above £1 million who are worried about an annual property tax can breathe a massive sigh of relief, because the property price falls that I was expecting at the higher end of the market after this budget, which I'm still expecting, but they're not going to happen as fast as I thought, because I was expecting and ready for some form of new change to council tax or annual property tax that was going to make more expensive homes cost more to own and therefore reduce in value.
Yep.
That didn't happen. And that's probably for me the biggest surprise, because there was so much of that trail. Maybe we'll put capital gains tax on primary residents. Maybe there'll be an annual property tax. Maybe there'll be. They didn't even do the doubling of council tax above G&H, did they?
No.
They didn't do any of the things.
No.
They haven't touched stamp duty for house transactions. Wasn't even mentioned. I don't think, unless you discussed it while you were blathering.
No.
I'm genuinely gobsmacked at how little has been done in the housing sector.
Well, nothing. I was
with the exception of landlords paying national insurance on rent. That's it, right? I'm sorry, and the £2 million and £5 million extra levy, £2,500 and £5,000 extra. I mean, boo-hoo. They're going to be
really
okay.
Nothing. But I was expecting to see some sort of investment towards all the new housing, mention of social housing.
Nothing for social housing.
No.
This is the opposite of what I was expecting. I thought at the end of this, we were going to have so much to digest. Go, right, they've done this and they've done that. So for the housing market activity, I think tomorrow, business as usual. The top end of the market is going to breathe a sigh of relief.
Yep.
All the buyers who are worried about buying are probably now going to come out and go ahead and buy.
Mm-hmm.
And the big slowdown in housing market activity was a waste of time.
Yeah.
I think estate agents are going to be breathing a huge sigh of relief.
Oh, yes.
I think, as am I from a transactions point of view, because there is a pent-up demand for people moving already. There are already a lot of properties on the market for sale, 10, 12-year high, unsold stock.
Yeah.
We still have the overpricing problem. I had expected some measures in that budget that would have maybe triggered a bit more of a property price fall. They didn't materialize. I continue to expect house prices to degrade, slide higher at the top, because again, I hope nobody misinterprets what I'm saying as I think house prices are going to go up at the top of the market, because they're not. They're going to continue sliding because the economy is still.
Oh yeah, at the top of the market, there's no way. But at the lower end of the market, with the FCA allowing greater multiples, with banks now will be sitting there looking at this, going, well, it's fairly safe to lend, so they're not doing anything scary. We may see certainly a stabilization or perhaps an increase in lower end property prices. Maybe not leasehold flats, but three bedroom terraces up north.
They haven't done anything for the economy.
No. Well, but how much of their budget was about the economy versus policies, individual small policies for small areas of the country. She did not deal with a macro lens at all.
No.
It was very focused on, when you start mentioning £18 million for a library, that's, Oh, it appears I'm a racist white supremacist.
Not that. It really was nothing burger.
Mhm.
A big nothing burger. So what does it mean for buyers? What does it mean for sellers? I think for those of you who are holding off buying above $500,000 or above $1 million, there's no more. The things you may have been holding off for haven't materialized.
No.
The reason that house prices at the higher end of the market have been coming down in the past remain. Okay. In other words, the cost of maintenance and ownership of bigger houses is still higher, and that's eroding the asset value because it's too expensive to maintain,
and
improve,
heat.
and heat and own. I think someone must have said to the Treasury or to Reeves, if you impose some big heavy tax on bigger houses, you will crash the housing market.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do that.
Exactly.
I don't know how I feel about this, because on the one hand, I'm not surprised that it was a nothing burger, but I was expecting it to be a nothing burger of what was already trailed. But very little of what was trailed happened. And I think that in a bizarre way, she's been quite clever. She's gonna pass this off as a successful budget because the markets have
reacted
relieved.
okay. Well, that's true. That's true. Although
She's going to pass this off as, look, I'm better than Liz Truss.
Yeah, but hang on a sec. Wait to see what the markets do in a week or so, because the the minimum wage and minimum living wage increases are going to have an impact. Now, the way that she's worked it,
but that wasn't even, that was just almost because it was that was released yesterday.
Yeah, but above inflation, and she's going to freeze the thresholds for an extra 3 years. Well, and she won't, because of course they won't be in power after 29. So the idea that it'll last till 31 may not exist by then. But that's how she's fudging the numbers long term for how she's going to get the deficit down. And none of it adds up. It just doesn't stack, because she's not going to recoup that amount of tax.
It's almost like a deflection budget.
But you must have liked when she said that, her opponents, these people who think that money grows on trees, those MMT people. So, you and Rachel do have something.
I actually missed it. What did she say?
Oh, right at the beginning, she said, my opponents, the Tories, who they want austerity and this sort of stuff. And then, of course, we have the people who believe that, there's the magic money tree, and there's no way we could ever default, as the modern monetary theorists. And to be fair, it's, as I said, it's really useful that she has Polanski there, because it means that even Rachel Reeves has someone to take the piss out of. And she did it very well. But
yeah. Jake Abed says it was a lesson in can kicking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The increase in minimum wage is a big thing. Yes, it is.
Yeah. When it works its way through, and more 16 to 21-year-olds do not have a job because their increase is 8.5%, not 4.1%. Yeah, it'll make a big difference.
The strange thing is that I actually think that's the biggest, in my mind, of everything mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
That increase in minimum wage is perhaps one of the most significant steps, and it was almost glossed over.
Mm-hmm.
I did invite Sasha Yanshin to join us just briefly during this live stream. He said he couldn't. He's away, but I said, well, would you like to send an audio clip of just your reaction to the budget? He said, if I did, what was it exactly he said? Hang on. He said it would be the poop emoji sound.
That's fair.
But he put out a post on X this morning, which I thought summed up the minimum wage, because it's actually a negative thing for the economy.
Yes.
Right. So let me read this out to you. Sasha said, increasing the minimum wage by more than inflation every year is great. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Those workers will take the money they earn and go and spend it with local businesses, thereby boosting the economy. Don't listen to the naysayers, the doom and gloom economic theories that this will cause layoffs and actually make everybody collectively worse off. Just because this is precisely what happens every time doesn't mean it will happen this time. So given the infallible theory that increasing minimum wage as much as possible is obviously great and has no negative repercussions like people on that minimum wage being able to afford less stuff, despite the minimum wage increasing, I propose we go ahead and increase the minimum wage to £1,000 a minute.
I like that.
It is time to lift everyone out of poverty once and for all. And the point he's making is that increasing the minimum wage is not good for the economy. It's not good for businesses. It's bad for inflation.
Yeah.
It's just a vote winning. So what she's done is she slapped a tax on people with big houses, £2,500 and £5,000. It sounds like a lot of money if you're poor, but when you own a £5 million house,
it's peanuts. Yeah.
You won't even notice it.
Yeah.
And she's increased minimum wage.
Yeah.
So ticking the box, 2 wins for the bash the riches.
Didn't we have the workers? We've got to support the workers, and yet the only people who are going to be damaged in any material way are the workers.
The workers are going to be damaged because that's going to result in fewer jobs. She didn't touch on employment.
No. Well, why? Hey, that would be really dumb given that employment has fallen nearly every month.
She has raised taxes by nearly £30 billion. Right. I mean, it's actually almost a masterclass in smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Yeah, from that perspective. And what was wonderful is her absolute angst and her bluster at the Tories and oh my God, blame, which happened, I think, 11 times.
Yeah, at least.
That I counted.
At least.
Just deflection, smoke and mirrors and deflection. It was fantastic.
But the OBR thinks inflation next year will be up from its previous forecast.
Of course it will, because you just raised the minimum national living wage.
So genuinely, if you're moving house, if you're an ordinary person in the mainstream market moving house, nothing has changed. Yeah. There might be a few more landlords, a few more small landlords now wanting to sell up. Yep. Because corporate landlords won't be paying national insurance or anything.
No, we're going through a limited company.
So there'll be a few more private landlords selling up and selling their properties either to corporate landlords or to people who want to buy their homes. If you are the owner of a larger property, you could breathe a small sigh of relief.
Yeah. Well, I was having conversations with people who were in that position. And they were telling me, "Oh God, it could be 20 grand a year. Oh God!"
Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's going to be 2.5 grand a year.
And this is where the smoke and mirrors is quite clever.
Yeah.
Everyone was terrified.
Yeah.
Like, oh, phew, we're okay. Actually, no, you're not. You're still.
If you phone an old person today, they're going to be going, "What great budget! Love that budget! Oh, wonderful!
Triple lock,
bang on." Love it.
3 cheers for the triple lock.
And it's all right. My money isn't in cash. No, I've been in the markets for years, decades, darling. No, it's fine. I'm fine.
So it's a good budget for the boomers.
Yeah. I mean, the things that really concerned me, and I couldn't believe they would be brave enough to do it, but it was a kite, was to remove the capital gains tax exemption on main home.
They haven't touched. I'm amazed. Nothing on CGT.
No.
Yeah. Lindsay Michele says someone else earlier was right. It's a self-preservation budget.
Yes. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. We've got a question here. I came to this late. Was there anything around ISA allowances? Yes, senior stranger, exactly as expected. Cash ISAs dropped to 12 grand a year, plus the 8 grand in stocks and shares, or up to 20 grand in total as it is now. And given that you can hold cash in certain stocks and shares, ISAs, absolutely no difference, really.
Right. So basically, the slide continues.
Yeah.
If you see anyone reporting that house prices are going to go up because of this budget, I'd love to know their thoughts on why.
Likewise, they're not going to go down because of this budget.
But they're going to. Was there anything in this budget that's going to affect house prices either way? Not really.
Not really. No, the other things in the economy are going to affect house prices.
Yes, the economy continuing to crumble and collapse under her feet.
But at the same time, loosening lending. I mean, this is the problem. It's between those two things.
Yeah.
If we just left the fucking lending alone, then house prices would fall. But if you keep saying, no, you can have a 50-year mortgage, you'll be fine. Then, and as far as interest rates, yes, I think there will be a cut before Christmas.
Okay. Kicking Mustang says, has there ever been a government in history that has gone back on so much they put in their manifesto in such a short time, while imposing so much misery on so many workers with punishment policies?
Not that I can remember, but...
No. Yeah. Dr. Benny Boombat says they put out rumors that they were going to do terrible, terrible things. So the market prices it in. Then on the day, they don't do it. And all markets get a bit of positivity.
Oh, it's a Christmas bump.
Passive decline management, says Tim PG Pilot. Yeah, I agree with that.
PDM.
And Annette Curtin.
You gotta love Annette.
That's not your real name. Annette Curtin on YouTube says businesses will employ older workers and not the under 21s.
Of course.
Instead.
If there's no advantage in that they're cheaper, why would you bother to train someone yourself when you could take someone with experience at the same cost?
Yeah. No, well, some of you, I mean, I couldn't possibly be drunk. I've only been drinking apple juice and slightly yellow fizzy water. In fact,
Charlie, you think that?
Where's your apple juice?
I nearly killed. My apple
camera.
juice has been depleted.
It tastes funny, apple juice.
Does it taste a bit hot? Is it hot apple juice?
It's oddly refreshing.
But this is the thing. We were supposed to do shots when they did something absolutely terrible.
Yes.
And we
or
didn't have to
unexpected.
do shots
Nothing.
because we was doing it.
No, so we just drank apple juice.
I mean, as a whole, it was absolutely terrible. But individually, not so much. But growth, Charlie, what she has just talked about, it's going to bring this country massive growth.
I don't know how to. It's like it's. I'm almost in awe of the deflection.
Yeah, but did you notice that she twice at length went on about how AI was going to crack down on fraud and all these dodgy non-taxpayers, and we're going to find you. Our digital IDs will beat you.
HM Robocops.
Yep.
Right, guys. Well, I mean, in a way, that was a bit disappointing.
Do you know what I'm going to make you for lunch? A fucking burger.
I'd like a fucking burger.
But it's not going to be a nothing burger.
No, okay.
It's a steak burger with avocado and cheese and romesco. And
it's going to be a delicious nothing burger.
And it will damage your arteries, I'm sure, but it won't do anything bad for the economy.
Let me just have it. So no changes to stamp duty. Really disappointing, says someone whose name I can't pronounce, even when I haven't had apple juice. Correct. I think that's incredibly disappointing because changes to stamp duty would have. I'm starting to sound slightly word slurry. Changes to stamp duty would have boosted transaction volumes.
You mean if they had reduced stamp duty?
Yes.
Yes. But they also did not massively increase stamp duty on landlords and second homeowners.
Should I buy a house? No, they didn't.
Which is on the bingo card, but they didn't do that either.
That's true. I was expecting them to double down on punching those guys in the face.
Exactly.
And they didn't. Paul Sparks says, should I buy a house then, Charlie? Always buy a house if you want to live in it. Just don't overpay. But yeah, a lot of I'm genuinely happy for agents, good agents now, because a lot of buyers who've been going,
we'll flood in.
And the other really good news is for those sellers of you who've got a buyer and you've got an agreed sale, but the buyer was dragging their heels waiting for the budget, nothing in that budget is going to be giving them a reason to back out now.
No.
That's good news. I was worried about lots of deals falling through.
Yes.
Buyers backing out.
If they'd done certain things in that budget, everyone would have just have pulled straight out of the market.
Ollie Rudkin made a point about, you know what's good for mental health? A decent economy.
Yes.
Absolutely right. That's a very serious point, actually. If you don't have the opportunity to go and do a decent day's work for a decent day's pay, it messes with your head.
Yep.
Someone called ARN9858 says, nothing beneficial for UK citizens, let's be honest. My senior staff asking if we get a pay rise due to minimum wage rising. I'll have to let some people go.
Yes.
That is actually the hidden thing of this budget. The budget measures are going to increase job losses.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. And yet Rachel will get up the next time and she will say, oh, look how well we've done. I mean, you heard the whole of the beginning of that speech was what wonderful things they've done, including reforming planning, which they haven't.
No, they haven't. That's a complete lie. At least they did. They also didn't mention the 1.5 million homes, did they?
No, they did not.
Which is interesting.
Well,
they're kind of realizing they really
obviously
can't.
Impossible.
Where is the talk of debt reduction? Pushing it out into the future is ridiculous. Agreed. Because it was the debt reduction, the debt's increasing over the next 3 or 4 years and then
decreasing,
according to the OBR, whose forecast reliability is notoriously reliable. As in you can rely on it being unreliable.
Although what I find interesting is that she tried to make the point that our current debt to GDP is 83%. Not by my calculations, it's not. I don't know what they've recalibrated. They've chucked in something weird there.
Patricia FJ Cruiser DXB says more landlords selling. Yes.
Yeah.
More small landlords selling.
Yeah.
And cash-rich landlords, corporate landlords.
The people who moved in with a girlfriend or boyfriend and kept their first place and never set it for a limited company.
This is a two-edged sword. Everyone needs to understand this. It's very important because there are definitely pros and cons to this. It is a good thing that amateur, what I call retail landlords, who thought they could get a buy-to-let mortgage, buy a house, rent it out through an agent, do nothing, and just collect money, and not look after the tenant or look after the property, and then just kick them out when they wanted their money back. A reduction in those types of landlords is a good thing because those types of landlords work great for tenants. Mm-hmm. The bad thing is that those landlords, up until the 1st of May, will be evicting no-fault tenants to get their properties back and putting those people into homelessness. That's also bad. But it's good news that some of those properties are now going to become available for the tenants to buy.
Mm-hmm. If the tenants can afford them.
I just wish there was a safety measure to stop people being pushed into homelessness. If you can sell your house, if you're a landlord and you want to sell up, and you can do so without making your no-fault tenant homeless, fine.
Yeah.
No problem. But making a no-fault tenant homeless creates a liability for the state and ruins that tenant's life opportunities, at least in the short term.
Yes.
And that, the ending of Section 21 for that reason is a good thing.
Yeah, but like all of these changes, it's a transitionary period which is painful. So, for instance, I know a couple of people who have not raised the rent on their property in over a decade. And so actually their tenants are getting a really good deal at the moment. But because of these things, they are going to evict them and they are going to sell the property. Not because they don't like their tenants, simply because it's just not worth it. And actually one of them has an interest-only mortgage that they got back in 2007, where interest-only mortgages were all the rage. So for them, it really is an important thing. But what it means is the tenant is now so used to paying what is actually 25% below current market rate that I'm not sure they're going to be able to afford to rent anywhere.
Yeah.
Because these private, small, landlords who never really set out to become landlords, but ended up being them because they chose not to sell a property. And so didn't do it in a professional business way, didn't set it through a limited company, it was their own property to start with. Their tenants are going to be doubly fecked because they've been used to a rate that they've been paying for the last 10, sometimes in one case, nearly 15 years, the same rent.
Yeah. Teddy B says, Stig, SNS agree relatively secure overnight money market funds. So the markets are pretty stable. That's what the government really wanted. They wanted to avoid a money market bad reaction to the budget. Radian Tinred said 2% on dividends, not fun for IT contractors outside.
No, I know it's going
I-35.
to affect me. Yeah,
but that's not changing until 2027.
Yes, and that's the whole point. None of these things were immediate. Or sorry, when some are happening in 26, but a lot of it was 27 or 28, and one set was even 29.
Yeah, exactly. And Patricia says this is a hope budget. Fiscal drag will pay for this, except unemployment will rise and therefore benefit bill will grow faster.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's not been factored in.
No. Oh no, because the OBR that would be guesswork, unlike all the other stuff they do.
And who wants to know on YouTube says rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic springs to mind. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment, actually. And Teddy B asks a question. What do you think is going to happen now where the buyers and sellers have been on hold? Will it be a New Year bounce? Well, I've kind of covered that. I think where the buyers have been on hold, they're going to unhold. They're going to take the handbrake off and just proceed. So good news for people in transactions.
But there
bizarrely,
are still many more properties on the market.
There are, but this budget was better than expected for the housing market in the short term.
Yes, agreed.
Now, for transaction volumes, not for prices.
Nope.
Awake 573 says this is clearly a damage limitation budget for the Labour Party. Yeah, I agree with that. And Lindsay McKaylee says likelihood of a rate cut next month. You think there's more chance now?
Yeah, I do.
Rearranging deck chairs, more like rearranging who gets a seat on the lifeboat.
Women and children first, as always.
Right. Okay, guys, we're coming up for 2 hours and 18 minutes on this. Do we have any pressing, burning questions? Are there any housing market related questions that I haven't answered that you'd like answered before we go? Because I want my nothing burger.
Yeah.
Uncle Stiggy is about to cook me a nothing burger. And it's going to be very tasty because he's an amazing cook. He is. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm hungry because I haven't had any breakfast today.
The question is, do you want me to wear my full clan robes while I cook it for you?
As long as you're wearing nothing underneath it.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Although the hood does get in the way.
Patricia says the budget measures will increase unemployment. Also, this budget is a nothing burger. Which one is it? Okay, that's a challenge. It's a nothing burger because there was nothing unexpected in it. It is not unexpected that the budget's going to increase unemployment, right? Yeah. So it's a nothing burger because increasing unemployment is what we expected it to do. Is that fair? Professional Gambler says, surely there's a weird irony in a sort of someone called Professional Gambler
Yeah.
worrying about the poor. Surely unemployment will just keep rising and the poor will continue to get poorer. Yes, and yes.
Yes.
I wonder how long the slide will continue for.
A long time.
Yes, a long time.
A long time.
The rest of this parliament, at least.
Yeah.
However long that is, we don't know.
Just wait till we get saved by CBDCs.
Okay, I have some news on that.
Go.
I spent the weekend with someone who is the chief executive of a significant crypto business.
Right.
Who said crypto is a huge scam.
It is. We know that.
He's the chief executive of a major crypto business.
It makes him very rich.
And he said, it's a big scam.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm only doing this job because of how much they're paying me.
Exactly. And he will get out as soon as CBDCs become a reality. He will run for the hills with all of his cash.
That was very interesting hearing him talk about that.
Yeah, no, once we're not on this, I would be interested to hear more about that.
I didn't know about that. Antoine C says the OBR predicts mortgage rates at 5% in 2029 versus 3.7% currently.
You
Not
mean
great.
the perfectly normal rate that we had for decades? Yes.
But why are they predicting mortgage rates to increase?
Because interest rates are not going to fall below 3.5.
Matt Poole says all those people claiming their house is worth 2.5 million. Suddenly it's worth 1.999999. The gap between minimum and median income shrinks again. Correct. That's not a good thing.
Can I answer John Parnell?
Well, okay, hang on. Where's down the bottom? Wait. Let me get on the screen. Where is he?
Up the top. Second comment on mine.
Just read it out.
If a landlord incorporates, will they avoid NI on rental income? You will. However, you are going to have lots and lots of good things to pay because you're going to have to sell your property to your limited company. You can't just transfer it, at which point you've got a limited company which will then be liable for capital gains tax when you then sell the property. And there's a whole range of other good things you've got to take into account. So the reality
I
is,
think if you're renting out a property and you're not a limited company, you're bonkers anyway.
Yeah, well, agreed. But honestly, it will cost you so much to do it. If it's just one property, just sell it if you can't take the NI hit.
Big Bear says there's no housing shortage, just a cash shortage. Correct.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Patricia says this budget is anything but a nothing burger.
Sorry, let's put this in perspective. The economy is already, what Patricia's not getting is, you and I both believe, the economy is shit.
And fucked.
And it is heading to an even worse place.
It's circling.
Which is why we talk about death in poverty. Yes. This budget could have massively accelerated that process, or it could potentially have retarded that process a bit.
Good word.
With Rachel, the word retard is never far from my lips.
Retarded.
It's the apple juice. But it's a nothing burger because this budget did almost nothing to either stop or accelerate that. Unemployment has been increasing every single month since Labour started their stupid policies and will continue to do so. This, with the minimum wage, will increase it a little bit faster. But just a little bit. And inflation won't be that big because the freezes on thresholds will mean that people are actually getting less money. So nothing that they've done is a massive step change in either direction, which makes it a nothing burger. But it is important because it's still heading towards shit. So
got lots of questions coming in now. Full pain will come in the April-March budget. March-April budget. Well, hey, you start cooking my nothing burger.
Oh, it was. Excuse me. Was that? Hey, boy, you start cooking.
Not at all.
Where's my
Not
whiskey?
at all. No, it wasn't.
It sounded very much like that.
I'm assuming you're hungry. That's all.
No, I'm not.
We're going.
just
If we
eating
keep drinking the apple juice,
I'm
we're going
just
to have
eating
to
chocolate
end this
biscuits.
podcast. Okay, I've got some more questions here. More questions. Okay. So you think yes to a rate cut next month?
Yeah, I reckon so.
Just at what 0.25%?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a standard quarter.
Okay. Why?
Only because I think inflation, the impact of the increases in wage and all the rest of this good stuff is not going to be impacting by that point, because that'll take some time. But we're not spending as much, and things are going to start to look really bad, and inflation will be beginning to drop. Not food in supermarkets, sadly,
No.
because that's supply chain constraint, but other things, and they will take a look at it, and they'll take the risk at that point, because inflation may have gone back to 3 point, something or other, and I think they may take the risk.
How will it affect new builds?
There aren't any new builds. Nobody's building new builds.
So this is Alexander KN on YouTube. He says, how will it affect new builds? I mean, I don't think this budget's going to make any difference, positive or negative, to the housing market, other than the continued decline of the economy, employment, and people's ability to buy houses and budgets, and therefore house prices will continue to slide, as I've been saying for years. Slide, not crash. Had the budget contained some of the measures I thought it was going to contain, then a crash could have been on the cards, but they've swerved that. They have swerved that. Someone called Karasu on X says, I'm selling my house via online auction. Will this budget help? Yes, actually, because all the people who are nervous about buying before the budget are now going to be happy to crack on. Phil Johnson says, this is just kick the can down the road mentality. It's so prevalent across the board. For young people, it's destructive. I agree. 1.2 million graduates unemployed. How are we addressing this? Yes, I agree.
Stop sending so many people to university.
That's true. I mean, I actually met. So this weekend, I was in Scotland. Not this weekend, this week I was in Scotland, the weekend past. And there was a family thing, and someone was there with their kids, and one of their kids just about to finish A-levels next year and is going to university. And I said, why?
Yeah.
No.
You and go, my sister gave me such a hard time.
It was an interesting. I just innocently said, so what's behind your decision to go to university?
You can't say that.
And the person concerned looked at me a bit like a rabbit in the headlights.
Mummy and Daddy want me too.
No, just went, no. She just said, I'd never really thought about it.
Oh dear.
And she then asked me, why do you ask? And I said, well, listen,
I think it's a waste of time.
If you want to go to university for a specific reason and that it gives you something that you can't get without it, then great, you should definitely go.
Are you going to be a lawyer or a doctor?
Right. I said, my advice was, if you're going to university because you have a specific reason and that's what you want, then great, crack on and go to university. If you're going to university because you haven't really thought about it, that's just what everyone else does, which was the case in this case.
Yes.
No.
I'm going to study geography.
Don't do it. Anyway, next question. Josie A says, was there any news about leasehold in central London? No, other than it continues to be royally
screwed.
You know what? Abu Yaqub says, should I put my house on the market this month? If not then, when? Well, without knowing your reason for selling, I'm going to make an assumption. You're putting your house on the market because you want to move to a new house. That's my assumption. And if your reason for putting it on the market is because you want to move, then don't delay. Definitely don't delay. Do not wait for the Boxing Day bounce, the Boxing Day bullshit bounce.
I love the idea of a Boxing Day bounce.
That apple juice is really getting to me.
Yeah, it will do. That's what apple juice does, mate.
I need some fizzy water.
This is why I'm feeding you.
If you are putting your house on the market because you are either moving, relocating, I mean, or because you need to extract your capital from it, your equity from it. If you are selling a flat, do not delay. If you're selling a large detached house, do not delay. If you're selling a terraced or a semi-detached house,
don't worry,
not as much of a worry.
Don't worry.
But if you want to move, there's no benefit in waiting. Saj says, do you think buyers' negotiating power has now diminished in the housing market for the next 1 to 2 years? No, I don't.
No, not at all.
No, I don't. I think buyers'
Buyers
negotiating
in a very
power.
strong position
I
at the
don't think. Yeah, I think there are going to be fewer buyers, and as a result, they're going to have stronger negotiating power.
Yep.
Karasu on X says, my watch list number has doubled recently. That means you've got twice as many properties as you had before on the market. Meep.
The Roadrunner.
That's their name. I was reading it very slowly because of the apple juice. And it says Meep Roadrunner 341 on YouTube says, I want to sell. I don't need to, but I want to. 3-bed, semi-detached in Southwest. Would I be better off putting it on in January or now? Now, as long as you do it well and not at an overinflated valuation and you get a proper price, I would get ahead of the market because I think there's going to be a big rush of property coming to the market in January, especially in the Southwest, which I might be kind of relying on. So I wouldn't wait. Looking for more questions. Is the budget finished? Yes.
Was it ever started?
Yeah. Samo says, this budget has felt like a large exercise in this government gaslighting the country. I agree.
Not wrong.
Daniel Cullen says, crypto isn't a currency.
No.
A currency has political and judicial and military backing. Nothing backs crypto. Some unknown dude called Satoshi Nakamoto.
Well, he only backs Bitcoin. I mean, you've got fairies who back Ethereum.
Yes.
And he's not taking into account stable coins, which are tethered to existing currencies like the dollar and so on and so forth. But yeah, fundamentally, I absolutely agree with him.
Okay, João Bernardo Costa.
He sounds very Brazilian or Portuguese.
Very Brazilian Portuguese. João Bernardo Costa says, what are your thoughts on the Lisa news?
Oh, what Lisa news?
I
They
didn't-
changed the lifetime ISA.
I didn't hear the Lisa news, so I don't know.
We were chatting probably.
I'm just feeling more confident in pronouncing your name after all the apple juice I've had. Wow. Octomancer says, you can't hold physical gold in an ISA, as far as I know, but you can hold physical gold in a SIP.
Can you?
I don't know.
I didn't know that.
It's interesting.
I mean, yes, I didn't expect that you'd be able to hold physical gold in an ISA, but I had no idea you could hold it in a SIP.
Manny92 says, does the government really think giving families an extra £17 a month per child will really pull them out of poverty?
Yes.
That's 50p a day. It's not going to pull you out of poverty.
No, but this is what I don't get. Where is he getting £17 per child?
I don't
from?
know.
What measure is this? Because that's not the 2-child benefit cap. That's substantially more.
Here's a controversial take. Sound Texture says, in the times of Jesus and Mother Mary, the finances were in a good position. Moneylenders create the problems. We need an Islamic economy.
Oh, Sharia, more no interest, you see.
Invest in land. They're not making it anymore, says Lonnie Jockstrap.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you'll find land is already quite expensive.
Yes, and they're not making any more of it.
No, well, they're not.
Joshu, that's a funny handle. Says, what is the best way to guarantee a transaction goes through should we decide to break the chain?
What? What?
Is this a wind-up, Joshu?
What is this?
Obviously don't want to be left without a home. Well, the best way to make sure the transaction goes through is to not break the chain. You'll need to elaborate on that question because I don't really understand it. Because it's like, what's the best way to not punch myself in the face? Don't punch yourself in the face.
It's not hard, is it?
Christian on X says Zoopla doesn't differentiate between leasehold and freehold data on their website listings. This renders suggested values untrustworthy. That is a perfectly valid observation.
Need to have a chat with Mr. Donald.
Lots of people saying, yes, Stig, you're right. I'm not quite sure what about.
What am I right about? God, that must be a first.
Duncan C says, Stiggy, heading towards shit should be Labour's next campaign header.
Well, I thought their slogan, Rachel's slogan, was going to be no jobs for the young. But yes, I think heading towards shit works just as well.
I've had too much apple juice to answer this question, so maybe you could help. Are you considering, so this is Phil Johnson on YouTube, who says, are you considering the macro situation that's caused all of this? The Japanese carry trade into reverse. Now it's reversing. It's like a black hole that vacuums up liquidity.
Yes. No, you're quite right. And that's the whole problem, is we are going to end up utterly stagnant, as Japan has been for the last 30-odd years. And then it's all going to go to, rat shit.
Swift says, I'm cooking whilst listening. So is Stiggy. Alistair says,
minutes, Charlie.
Alistair says, anyone buying an EV? I had an EV for 4 years. I had a new Tesla Model 3 for 4 years. And it was the fastest, and I've had an Audi RS6s, so I've had fast cars. It was the fastest, safest, and cheapest to run car I've ever owned. And I don't miss it at all. I'll tell you what it was like. It was like going out on a date with a really attractive person, and everything on paper makes them look like they're a perfect partner, but you're just bored and you never want to see them again. It's just no chemistry. So that's why I won't be buying another EV. I think they're brilliant for certain people. I'm a petrol head. I love cars with engines. Did 100,000 miles in it. I didn't dislike it. I just left me cold.
There was no love affair.
There was no love. I have a love of petrol engine cars.
Is that especially if they're sort of 16 cylinders and all this?
No, V8 8 is the optimum number of cylinders. Anyone knows that.
Well, I thought you
Everyone knows that.
bolted together in yours, don't you?
No, I have a 1980s V8 Mercedes. Makes a beautiful noise. It's like yeah. I'll get into that in another video. Gareth Park says, anything mentioned about stamp duty? Literally nothing, except for if you list your company on the London Stock Exchange, you get a 3-year stamp duty holiday, I think.
Yeah, there was some weird shit. I need to look into that as well. Oh, we're supporting entrepreneurs. Yeah. Your dividend tax doesn't suggest so, but there we go.
Patricia says, my challenge to the comments was to get both, as in you and me, I think, to acknowledge the economy won't be recovering anytime soon.
No, wait,
Completely agree.
100%
agree on that. Those who wonder if it will affect housing, the answer is yes, because less money in people's pockets equals less affordability and lower property prices. Yes, but that's not changed because of the budget. I mean, maybe slightly because of the minimum wage increase. I mean, the minimum wage increase puts some people into a realm where they'll be able to afford a mortgage in certain parts of the country. but not in most of it.
No.
Right, I'm
getting fucked around by a gherkin. It's very wrong.
Stiggy's being fucked around by a gherkin. Charlie to Alex. Enough of the nothing burger. Make me a sandwich.
Exactly. You fucking who do you think you are, you bastard?
Here's an interesting question, and you have an opinion on this. When will we have the next economic boom?
Around 2050.
That's what he said. See, he said 2050 question mark?
Yeah.
Yes, around 2050. Another 25 years. So if you're currently 18 to 24, you're stuffed.
You're so weak.
But your kids should be okay. Oh yeah, I mean the Gen X and boomers. No, boomers are fine. Boomers are still partying in their money.
And so are some Gen Xers and some very early millennials. But by and large, not so much.
Rayleigh Boy says, why no delay if selling a flat? Because it's only going to get harder. That's why.
Yeah. Can't see flats recovering anytime soon.
Alexander Cayenne says, fuck it. Going to get my apple juice. Lagavulin flavor, I think. Or Lagavulin.
Lagavulin.
Lagavulin. Thanks, guys, for your comments and helping me to understand what I need in my life to make it better.
Cash.
Someone says, but estate agents are saying, wait until Boxing Day and then stick it on the market for 10% more. Any agent that says that is a...
Is a dummy.
Thank you. I was going to use a ruder word. Is a dummy. You should ignore them. Lamb's sub says, really glad we did not postpone the purchase of our current rental property in the hope of stamp duty reductions, which never happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is why I said all along, people who want to move for moving's sake shouldn't have waited for the budget.
No.
What brand is your apple juice? I feel like some apple juice too. It has the word famous in it and a bird. Avram's ponytail. I'm sure that's someone's YouTube handle. Avram's ponytail says, just reading the budget on Gov website. It looks like Reeves has just dumped all the growth into 2029 and beyond.
Exactly.
The next party's problem. Yeah.
Because there is no growth.
Has Reeves saved her job? I think she might have done.
Moment,
yeah,
for the moment. I'm quite upset that my bingo didn't get her. What?
I can't read that out. I can't read that out.
Read it.
No. No.
Read it.
No. Gwyn C says Stig is wrong about the share price. Surprisingly wrong. Yes, I agree. He was. Fucker. Never mind.
No.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, sir. My gun is 1BA. Says, when was the last time we had an economic boom? I'm a millennial and I've never seen one. Just loads of disasters one after the other. The last time we had an economic boom was in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, no, you could argue that.
The early 2000s wasn't a boom.
Oh, it was. It was.
No, it wasn't.
It was. It just
not like the 80s. You didn't have comedy characters on TV going loads of money. In the 80s, that boom lifted almost everybody, except for the miners.
Yes, don't speak to Lewis.
If you were in coal mining, you didn't have a good time in the 80s. A double decker for me, Stiggy, please, and make my bacon dead crispy. Extra mayo, says James Sky.
Oh, fuck off.
Lonnie Jockstrap says, I've just lost my job as a marketing manager. I had a £3 million advertising budget and was told, spend it wisely or resign. I've just been to work in my new Ferrari to hand in my resignation.
I almost felt sorry for him for a second there. Oi, stick that down.
Is it time to wrap up?
No, you got a second, don't worry.
Question on stamp duty. So with no change in stamp duty, doesn't this mean that buyers will have less to spend or put as a deposit than if it had gone through? Yes, that's right. But nothing's changed. Big Shot London says, what's the 80s? Right. We're all 80s coal miners now because of AI.
Oh, well.
On that bombshell, I think I'm going to call time, guys. Listen, I can't believe it. 4,000 of you on X and another 1,000 of you on YouTube. Yeah, a lot of people watch that. I'm sorry about the audio stuff we had earlier. I'm going to blame Stig because I'm in his house.
It was your setup. There's nothing wrong with my Wi-Fi.
It's not my fault. It's his fault. Because do I have these problems on other live streams? No, only when I'm here. It's his fault, definitely.
That's because I'm joining remotely.
Guys, thank you all very, very much for following. And if you are new here and you're still watching, and there are still a lot of you watching, I hate to leave you hanging. But you know what they say, always leave them wanting more. Join my newsletter below, mhwc.co.uk/newsletter. Sign up there, get my weekly newsletters, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you very much, Stiggy, for my apple juice and my fizzy water, my yellow fizzy water, and for the nothing burger we're about to eat.
Exactly.